So in this example, notice how we've got a very intimidating fraction that we're having to deal with here. A very intimidating equation. But notice though at the bottom that I've already got the answer. X is negative a third, okay? So you've got this equation, you got this answer. You have to justify those steps. You've got to justify why we have that. So let's go through our 5-step process. And the first step in this case is going to be get rid of parentheses. Now there are a variety of ways that you can solve this to start with, but I just try to keep in mind every step that I take. I want to always clean the problem up and make it look prettier than what it was to start with. So my first thing is let's get rid of these parentheses. So I'm going to start by distributing. So on this side I'm going to have 5 plus 2x minus 6 equal to. Now here I'm going to distribute this 1/2 to the 7x and this 1/2 to this negative 5. So I'm going to bring down the 6 and I'm going to leave it as a fraction. Okay, so just a little bit of review here. If I am multiplying, so if this becomes 1/2 and I'm going to times it by 7x, let's leave it as a fraction like that. So when I'm multiplying fractions, multiply the tops, so 1 times 7x is 7x, multiply the bottoms, so 7x over 2. So I'm going to leave it as a fraction. I do not want to turn it into a decimal, and you'll see why here in just a few minutes. So this becomes 7x over 2, and then minus 5 over 2, and then minus 4. Okay, so parentheses are gone. Next step, so let's write that down. We distribute to get rid of parentheses. So there's my justification. Now, next we're going to combine like terms. Now, when I do that, I'm going to be careful about what I'm putting together here. So I'm going to start and I'm going to put this 5 and this negative 6 together. And I'm going to make that this becomes now 2x minus 1. And on this other side, for right now, the only thing I'm going to combine are my integers, my 6 and my negative 4. Technically, negative 5/2 is a like term, but I'm going to treat it separately here in just a second. So this now becomes 2, because 6 minus 4 is 2, plus 7x over 2 minus 5 over 2. So I've combined my like terms. Okay, now I'm going to break some rules here. Usually, after we combine like terms, we want to get the variables on the same side. But if you notice, this variable has a fraction attached to it. So every time I want to clean it up and make it as simple as possible. So instead of trying to get the variables together immediately, I'm going to show you here in a second what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to get everything away from this fraction right here. You see how, even though they're not like terms, these two sort of go together. They have a common denominator of 2. So what I want to do is I want to get everything away from that so that I can attack that here in a second. And so I'm going to subtract the 2 from the negative 1. So this line, 2x minus 3 is equal to 7x over 2 minus 5 over 2 I have used my subtraction property of equality. So now, what am I going to do next? Well, now I want to get rid of the fraction. So both of these, again, have a common denominator of 2. So if I multiply by the common denominator on both sides, because what I do to one side, I have to do to the other, so then what I'm going to have now is 7x minus 5, because those 2's canceled out, is equal to 2 parentheses 2x minus 3. So this is your multiplication property of equality. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So what did I do? Again, I've multiplication property of equality, or multiply both sides. Actually, I'm going to say everything. By 2. So we're almost there. So now, distributive property again. So I'm going to have 4x minus 6 is equal to 7x minus 5. And after all of that, it's looking a lot more like what we've been used to seeing. So now I'm going to get the variables together. Are the variables on the same side? And to do that, I'm going to subtract the 4x from the 7x. So I'm going to have negative 6 equals, so 4x from 7x, equals 3x minus 5. Then next I want constants together. So negative 6 is equal to 3x minus 5. So now I'm going to add the 5 to the negative 6. Negative 6 plus 5 is negative 1. So now I have negative 1 is equal to 3x. And so basically we're home free. Step number 8 is going to be to divide both sides by 3. And so notice now how x is equal to negative 1/3. So that was a lot of work and a lot of steps, but notice how messy it was to start with. So see what you can do with this one. See if you can come up. Notice there's not an answer there. See if you can do this one on your own, and then watch the video to see how you did, okay? I can go ahead and assure you that this one's actually easier than the one above.